Hey, beautiful people. Viv going live from York. Um, yeah, I've had an interesting couple of days, and I just wanted to talk about some of the amazing things I've realized over the last couple of days about um, my sort of biological makeup and therefore that of other people, which is really interesting. So, obviously, I've had two kids, and I had a miscarriage in between them as well. And I found out the other day that I carry the DNA of those three children, including the one that I miscarried, and potentially my eldest child. Um, Actually, no, my youngest child could carry the DNA of my eldest child and the miscarried daughter I didn't have, um, which just totally blew my mind. And then I looked into it further, and I therefore could be carrying the DNA of my mum and potentially my grandma, my granny on my mum's side, which also means that my children could also be carrying that DNA. So it just got me thinking, because I know I get very excited about the power that you can take from ancestors from a shamanic point of view. That's a really big thing. And I was looking at sort of 7 generations. I know that's a big thing in lots of different places. People talk about into the 7th generation. So 7 generations back means there's 256 people who have contributed to the fact that you are on this planet, which if you think about it, is just absolutely crazy. Obviously, half of those are women, but you would have to half that again to mean down the maternal line, there could theoretically be 64 different DNA things being passed by generation to generation. And then that got me thinking, because I had read somewhere about, is it true that you can breathe the same molecules once breathed by a dinosaur or Julius Caesar or Joan of Arc or that sort of thing? And although that's not strictly true, it is sort of true, because if you breathe out carbon dioxide that's been made by the oxygen you breathe in, and then some of the carbon that you've eaten, and that gets taken up by a tree, and that tree stores that for however many millions of years that tree contains that oxygen molecule for, when that tree decomposes, that oxygen molecule could theoretically be breathed in by your great-great-grandchildren, which is just insane. And then I was looking even further into more connections with nature, because obviously, again, as a shamanic practitioner, I think one of the things that leads to a lot of disconnection in human beings is our belief that we are above sort of the animal kingdom and nature and everything. And I think if we all got back out into nature and spent more time like our ancestors used to do, we're probably a generation, or the generation below mine probably are the ones who more likely to see a tree or an animal on some screen somewhere than actually see one in real life, which is a bit of a shame. And I do think it leads to various issues, which is not great. How much DNA we share with plants and insects. So supposedly we share 50% of our DNA with trees, 70% with slugs, 44% with honeybees, and even 25% with daffodils, which I thought was really nice at the moment, because the daffodils are still out and they are a symbol of sort of the beginning of spring and excitement and stuff like that, and something that people quite often give their mothers on Mothering Sunday. But it just got me thinking, if we actually broke that down and thought about it a bit more, maybe that would make people think, actually, if I'm sharing 50% of my DNA with trees, then actually going and communing with a tree, or sitting underneath a tree, or just acknowledging there's a tree there, you're sort of communicating with an ancestor of yours. And from a shamanic point of view, again, I get very excited when out in nature, because it's somewhere that you can tap into power and bring it into yourself and use that for the stuff that you want to get done. So if you're feeling a bit tired, I'd say definitely go and walk in nature, look at the plants, look at any of the insects, listen to the birds. Think about it when you're breathing in that air, that could have been breathed in by someone, related to you, or someone fantastic, or somebody who went before, and imagine sort of that. And then think about sort of the plants and insects that you share DNA with, including slugs, because I like snails. Slugs I'm not so keen on. Honeybees and daffodils, and think, well, actually they are part of my ancestral heritage, and maybe I should be paying attention and looking after them a bit more than maybe we do. But I just wanted to sort of share that thing about the fact that you're carrying the DNA of people who've gone before you, and you'll be passing that on to anybody who comes after you. But you've got that, and then you've got all this stuff from nature. So I just thought I'd share that, because I'm a true believer that if we get out in nature, then you're going to feel better as a person. And I live in a city, but even I can walk down my street and see loads of trees and listen to the birds and imagine when I'm breathing in the air, who's breathed in that air before me, etc., etc. And I thought I'd just share that, because I'd sort of looked up once I found out the thing about the kids carrying your DNA, and actually siblings maybe carrying each other's DNA from you as their mum. I just thought that was pretty amazing, and quite a nice thing to think about. So remember, you're fantastic, amazing human beings, maybe more fantastic and amazing now than you thought you were before. You could, you share your DNA with loads of natural things, and you'll have passed it on to your kids, and you might have some from your the people who came before you. I'm a true believer that people who came before you want you to live a fantastic and amazing life, and realize how fantastic and awesome you are. There is only one of you, remember that, so make the most of it. There is nobody on the planet like you. And remember, you're amazing, awesome, fantastic, and I love you. So take care, everyone. Bye.